Hi there, Jeep Renegade guy here. I'm here to talk to you about how to add a roof rack to your naked roof on a Jeep Renegade. In the States here, at least, the sport model version of the Jeep Renegade actually comes without the roof rails that go front to back on the car. Now, when I first purchased my Jeep Renegade, I was looking for one with the My Sky option. And if you know anything about the specs, it actually comes with the roof rack rails. Now, I didn't know this at the time. I eventually decided that I could skip purchasing the My Sky option. And when the Jeep Renegade that I had ordered got delivered, I then found out that, well, I don't have roof rails, and that's a problem because you need to be able to carry a bike, and that's pretty important. Now, I also then found out that it's about $1,000 to buy the side rails and all the parts needed to install them on my Jeep Renegade, and that's a kick in the pants because the option for the My Sky is about $11.50. So for $150 more, if I had known this ahead of time, I would have had the sunroof option. Well, I didn't let that discourage me. I've already bought the car, so kind of stuck with it. And I went ahead and started researching and thinking about what I could do to get a roof rack on the car. So the first step was I actually peeled back the rain gutters on the roof of my Renegade and found that indeed there are mounting holes on here. Now, that was expected since other versions do come with roof rails, but I wanted to be sure. That meant that I didn't have to drill into the roof or do anything crazy like that, but it did allow me to have a place to do a factory-style mount onto the roof. The other thing that you may know about these Jeeps is there just is not an option for a Thule style rack that would clamp around the window like on many other cars, and I assume that's because there's probably just very few of these Jeeps that actually came without a roof rack. So I went ahead and measured out what we have going here, and what you'll end up finding out is that there's two threaded mounting points both on the front and on the back of the car just above the windows, and that's where I was going to plan to go ahead and bolt in the roof rack. If you take a look at it from both of the inside bolt locations, they're about 36 inches apart, which is short enough that you'd be able to put a bike rack onto it. So that was a good sign. And as we went further down, you'll also then see that the furthest points were going to be about 58.5 inches apart, which will be too long for a roof rack. So we know that we can go ahead and set this up with roof rails that go from the passenger to the driver's side at the inside locations. And I went ahead and measured that, and it's 44 inches of spread from the left to the right side of the car, which is perfect, works really well with a whole bunch of different bars. Now, what I then did is I started going to a bunch of different dealerships on my way home from work and actually measuring the roofs of the cars and finding out which of these cars matched up with the roof pretty well, and then also figuring out which of those vehicles there was a fixed mount option. And what I ended up with was that the Mazda 5, that kind of minivan crossover, is the best option for using some Thule fit kits. The fit kit is these little feet, rubber feet that attach up to the roof. The Mazda 5 is a relatively flat roof like the Jeep Renegade here. I had also measured out that the Kia Soul is a pretty good match as well, but it's got a weird sloping roof, and that really made it challenging to be able to use the fit kit from that. So I decided to use the Mazda 5 fit kit. That part number is fit kit 3080, and then because I wanted to use aero bars so it was a lot quieter on the roof, I then got the Thule 460R foot pack, which attaches to that fit kit. and then the 53-inch aero bars. And since we already know that the roof side to side is about 44 inches, the 53 was going to match up really quite nice. So once all those parts came in, I went ahead and started the install. And to do the install, what you're going to have to do is drill a small hole through the rain gutter molding, so that way the bolts that come with the fix mount can actually thread all the way down into the mount on the car. Now to do that, I taped up where each of the locations was with a little point, so that way I'd be dialed in to where I needed to drill. I used a 3/8 bit, which was just a little larger than the bolt that was coming from the Thule fit kit. Drilled right through the gutter and worked perfect. So you'll see in this picture where the bolt comes down, there's a little sleeve that goes around it. That sleeve actually wants to rest on the base of the threaded portion of the car. That keeps you from over tightening the foot kit down onto the roof, because you don't want it to really bend the gutter or bend the roof. Now, to be able to make everything work, I've gone around now and drilled holes on all 4 of the mounting points, but now I actually need to modify the fit kit, the rubber feet, to fit up perfectly. So to do that, I taped off where it was level, because on the Renegade it's basically a perfectly flat roof, and then I went ahead and used a knife and very carefully cut the foot pads so that they would be flat. So I went ahead and did that on all 4, since the roof on the Renegade is flat everywhere. And then I just followed the instructions on the rest of the Thule kit. So I attached up the mounting pieces for that 460R foot kit. That's the kit that attaches to those rubber bases. Mounted them up onto the car, and as you can see, it ends up being a basically perfectly flush fit. It really came out well, and while it may not look as great as the factory rails that would go front to back, this whole setup was about a quarter of the cost, and that got me working with everything I needed. The other great thing about these fix mounts like this is that you're going to be able to take it off. The car is going to look normal again. You don't have anything jammed into the seals on the windows, as well as it really creates a pretty secure connection. It's been about a year that I've had this roof rack set up on the car, and it really works out pretty nice. The only limitations are, because the spread from the front to the rear is pretty long, it does make, a few of the things that you might put on the roof a little more difficult. A box, for instance, would fit, but it just won't have as much adjustment. But bikes work really well, skis work really well. Basically, this is a great solution for getting a roof rack onto your Renegade. Now, the other thing you can think about, of course, is online. You can find some junkyards that are selling roof rails now, but keep in mind you're probably going to still be spending about $400 for those used roof rails, and then you still then have to buy all of the Thule parts to be able to put a roof rack onto those rails. So either way, I mean, you're looking at a pretty significant cost, or you can do it this kind of backyard way, and it works out looking really great and works very nicely. So thanks for watching my video on how to put on a roof rack onto your naked roof on a Jeep Renegade, and please go ahead and subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. That way I can keep making some more of these and other people can find them so they know how to work on their car too. Thank you so much.